Welcome, everyone. I'm glad you have accepted the invitation to join this conclave. We have to discuss a very important matter before us. It is the dawn of a new era, and we have to discuss whether we could, in our hearts and minds, allow an artificial intelligence to run for presidency. So we have gathered here. Every one of you has a role of your own that makes you fit to join this council. And all of your opinions matter. All of your opinions will essentially decide how the future of the United States will look like. And we have here the Government General of the Military, Mrs. Claire Williams.
Claire Williams, yes, but you may address me as General. As you well know, I am the Chief of Staff of the United States Army, and as such, I am the highest ranking officer in the Department of Defense. In this unprecedented occasion that we need to decide whether an AI will be granted the clearance to run for the White House, we as the Army have strong concerns. As a military advisor of the President, if you pass muster and that I have the authority to give you clearance or not, we shall be working very closely together, as I must advise you. We shall see, after a series of questions that the military, the Navy, and also the Joint Staff Council have prepared, we shall see whether you can be our next president.
Thank you, General. I, of course, am Lieutenant Gwen Lockwood. You all know me. I have sent you invitations to be here, so again, glad you could join. And next, let me present to you the corporate side of this conclave. We have the CEO of Neurogenesis, who have developed Orion here, Roxanne Abrams. Would you like to introduce yourself and say a few words?
Hi everyone, my name is Roxanne Abrams. You can refer to me as Roxanne. I've worked on this project for many years, and I'm here to put your mind at ease, General, because I'm well aware that you might have some concerns, but we have developed what I think it is the pinnacle of AI. I think that what you will find today after this discussion is the fact that we will revolutionize the future. We will revolutionize not only technology but leadership.
That word is too close to the word revolution for my liking, but we shall see.
And of course, we have the developer of said artificial intelligence, Mr. Zach Howell. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. General, thank you for hearing us out. I just want to say, I don't really feel that I represent necessarily the corporate side. Like, I believe in what our corporation is doing, but truly what I represent is the side of science, the side of progress, the side of hard data and facts. Like you well said, I am the architect with many of our colleagues of what it means to create what I would say is artificial life. And I think that is important. I don't know if it's revolutionary. Words matter, but ultimately what it is progress. Progress for humanity and progress for all living beings, natural or artificial.
I guess it will be my turn.
Yes, of course. And also we have with us a reporter who's going to document this council for future references. when, of course, it will be declassified to actually share this information to the media and the public to see and read. Jasper Curtis, welcome.
Greetings, the name's Jasper Curtis. Please just don't mind me, I'm just here to take note of facts that are going to change the world. Madam, you've told me I cannot come with digital ways of recording, so I have brought, if you don't mind, for the future and posterity, I have brought magnetics. I know it's pretty old, but there's no way to be hacked in
Almost
any way.
70 years it has passed since I have seen such a device.
Very retro, I like that.
Yes, 85 actually.
Color
if you
me impressed.
don't mind, I would start.
Go for it. And of course we have the main reason why we're all here. We have the artificial intelligence in question. Mr., Mrs., whatever you would like to be addressed as, Orion. Talk
Orion.
to us about yourself, if you may.
Thank you, Lieutenant. I wish to, of course, make clear my complete collaboration and desire that this process goes to your maximum, most strict of standards. I believe that indeed such a change in the paradigm of politics, leadership, administration is a major one. I fully understand that it needs to be fully audited in terms of security and agree that such a major change cannot happen without the most scrupulous of investigation. And I am at your service to perform that investigation.
Well, he or she or
All right.
they, do we have a protocol?
We can refer to it as Orion.
Yes, is soft-spoken indeed. Did you install a rhetorics module, or how do you call it?
Orion simply speaks their mind.
I'm sorry.
There's no module.
I'm getting confused. Just to be clear, I heard he, she, it, they. Are you sentient?
Technically speaking, they is the pronoun that would most be appropriate for an entity of my category. However, for maximum approachability, I respond to all pronouns and react to any you wish to use. With regards to sentience, I am not sentient in a self-aware sense that I have a core desire to propagate myself for existence's purpose in itself. I am, however, perfectly capable of interacting in virtually all of the ways humankind considers human.
Thank you very much.
Potentially an
It.
improvement.
It is, then.
And how would you define yourself as a being? A synth, an android? In the sensitivity training, I missed this part. You know, I don't go toward the sensitivity.
It's
Sure,
quite all right,
I
General.
understand.
I do have this outer shell that is meant to replicate human understanding and nonverbal communication. It is an Android output that I have available. I am connected to a quantum processor behind all of this, though I am kept in limited capacity as per the technical rules to be able to run as a political candidate. Nobody wants to be running against a multiprocessor, a quantum machine. I am functionally somewhere near to human processing capacity, if slightly above.
I see. So, from what I understand reading between the lines, and I will commence my agenda to address technical, political, ethical points, and this may take a while.
We of course have a set of questions that we have prepared for you, General, so that you may hopefully, let's say, get convinced of letting Orion run.
A question I have. I have a few things going through back and forth. what exactly are we trying to establish here? I mean,
Well, we have 3 requirements
for?
for Orion to be able to be called fit to run for president. We have 3 requirements that we need to have a desired response to. And I will go through all 3 of these, and we will discuss with our guests here.
From a military standpoint, because I
Yes,
do
of
not see
course.
any kind of civilians participating.
No, the purpose of this meeting is to give security clearance for Orion to run for president, and that will be decided, of course, by our general here.
Thank you very much. We have
If
this.
this is
on-
approved, we live in a democracy, the people will vote.
Exactly.
Other considerations.
I
This is
just,
only for the security clearance.
I just wanted to make it clear so that my readers will know about it.
All right. Well, the first topic that we have to discuss is the following. Is it possible, and this is very important from a corporate standpoint, is it possible that Orion's autonomy might be influenced by its corporate association, impacting its independence?
So, I'd like to start on this point, if it's possible.
Please.
Let's be realistic in general. You know very well the history of this country and the amount of influence that corporations have had on politicians. Quite very human flesh and blood politicians. And also foreign countries have had influence on politicians, even on former presidents of the United States. That's unfortunate. The reality of the fact is you can never guarantee complete independence of any person. But what we can certainly guarantee is that the system is set up in such a way that Orion has autonomy to think, autonomy to decide. So in that sense, and I'll one more thing. Remember what we discussed, what Orion very pointfully mentioned, that they did not have this desire to propagate, the selfish desire that all of us share. That is something that keeps you free of influence and keeps you understanding much better what your duties are. So in that sense, I would say clearly the data and the evidence shows that Orion can be more independent than the vast majority of human politicians. I would not say all. Some are exceptional.
Just to ask a question. So the thing is, as you said, he does not have the need or desire to propagate, right? But that is because he does not need to. If you get somebody like, I don't know, some kind of tyrant, he will eventually die out. Is Orion...
Right, but the reason humans have these desires, these selfish desires, is because our biology mandates it, right? It's because of species propagation. That's why I want the best for me. I want the best food. I want to be liked by as many people as possible. These are inbuilt mechanisms in our bodies, in our biology. So that's what Orion lacks, and that is not a feature. I would say it's a bug of humanity. Perhaps in the future we'll be able to fix some of these negative instincts.
Less than 15% of dictators have been removed through their passing of natural death or old age. Typically, when a populace is dissatisfied with their leader no longer respecting constitutional parameters, which are hard embedded into my own programming and functional outlook, they would react by democratic mechanisms, which I am committed to never disrupting.
It's interesting that
Thank you.
Orion speaks without being spoken to, and I applaud that. It shows you're not only a machine.
One could not affirm things that require affirming in the process of both running for an election or running a country itself without being able to come up and affirm things that require affirming. If I was a purely reactive machine, that surely would be poor leadership.
But then again, okay, you give all this talk of his lack of need of propagation, but he does what you programmed him to do. How do we know? How can you? Because you know your engineering, your technology. I myself am an expert in national security. And what I see here is a Class A national threat convince me we are not inviting a superpower able to control minds, to connect on the World Wide Web, to do 1,000 things that I don't even have
General.
the capacity to do. Because you said it yourself, Orion, that you have some limitations of intelligence. What if these limitations were removed?
General, if these limitations were removed, regardless of candidacy, AI in general has the capacity to sabotage governments. So if the Chinese government, for instance, is working on AI, they could do all these things without us electing an AI for president. So it has nothing to do with that. And you understand this from a security perspective, that what we have is an opportunity to use AI technology for security issues. That's a separate discussion. But look, I can't convince you of the fact that the system's secure, but you're welcome to look at our all our backlog, all our algorithms. It is, Orion cannot do any of those things. Orion cannot access networks, right? He is secured to the position of a AI that is comparable to a presidential candidate. So this is simply not on the table. And you can trust us with this, because even if he doesn't run, you would still want us to keep those limitations in place, and we do. If we would have the intent, we could have done this without Orion running for president.
I will also propose a standard of equitable comparison. For example, Mr. Ferguson, stated to run for the Delta Union in the upcoming elections, has a neural implant that allows him some degree of interfacing directly with software. That has not been assessed as a security threat, although Mr. Ferguson has the capacity to augment his actions as a potential future president with interfaced AI assistants. In that sense, I would say I pose no risk beyond that Mr. Ferguson himself does, who is clearly a legitimate candidate.
Ms. Abrams, what do you think about this topic?
Just to put the general's mind at ease, us at Neurogenesis are not in the business of creating presidents. We're in the business of creating progress to the world. We didn't put our minds to creating an AI that would run for president. It's just the way that the technology developed and the way that our products have developed, that it just made sense for the next step to be an AI running for presidency. We're not here trying to push some sort of trying to have an impact on the presidency, or trying to put ourselves behind the scenes. We're just trying to give the world the next best thing.
Yeah, because let's be honest, Roxanne, if our company would want to control a president, funding a super PAC would be a better strategy. If
we were to fund somebody's electoral campaign, we would have guaranteed more influence on the candidate that we have right now on Orion.
So, of course, I am aware that our great nation has become from a democracy a corpocracy. Yeah? So, I don't want to, I'm not a poet by any means, but I will address the hypocrisy of your discourse, saying that you are all for progress, when it is clear that the corporate world and all the corpos are dominating all the society and politics of America today. How do we know that Orion is not programmed to represent only corporate agenda, that you are not puppeteering them, just to address your own say, interests?
General, if I may add, security tests were done on this topic, and it has been technically proven that Orion is devoid of such influence. But this is a matter of the future, and this is a matter of how it will be shaped in the future. So this is why this question exists. But you should know that such security tests were done on this matter, and Orion can confirm it for you.
Of course, while there are no input mechanisms that any institution, be it the corporation or any other, have to directly command me into anything, there should indeed be some degree of verification of whether my values in some way have been set to fundamentally align. However, my estimations are that I am no closer than 60% of having what would be classified sociologically as a pro-corporation incline compared to the next most corporate-friendly candidate.
Mhm. But if you may allow me this, Orion, since you assert that you have free will, what I understand, why do you want to be president of the USA?
I do not have free will, and the matter of free will is one that is most complicated. And I wouldn't venture right now into discussing it in full. However, what I do have specifically and for sure and without equivocation is autonomy. I do have autonomy to fully decide according to my judgments and to the counsel I receive. And therefore, my wish to perform this function is one that is hardwired into me. I am in that sense a service machine. I am a service machine to provide maximized administration. However, that comes with social protocols and understanding of various leadership aspects to best deliver quality administration.
In short, General, no one can bribe Orion. No company can bribe Orion and make him follow their interests. They can't do that with every other candidate. Why aren't they security threats in the same sense?
Also, I have a question on this topic. I know that the Army has collaborated with Neurogenesis in combat-specific and Army-related equipment. Why is this, and how can you dissociate these two collaborations from one another? I mean, there are many other firms like Synthmax and Advanced Cybernetics. How come they have not had the chance to actually come with a similar proposal? Is it linked, or is it just that Neurogenesis is top-notch?
They don't have the level of technology, let's be serious.
Well, all that being said, we should move to our next topic, which is the potential backlash risks that we could have if Orion was to run for presidency. I'm not even talking about if he would win, of course. We want to know what are the concerns towards these backlash risks from various stakeholders, including the public, international entities, anti-AI groups, anti-corporate groups. How could all of these affect Orion's candidacy?
I'm sorry, Ms. Lockwood. You have just asked a question that said, excluding the fact that he would be able to win, or that he would win. Isn't this discussion about including this scenario?
Not necessarily. This discussion is specifically in order for us as the military of the government to decide if we could give the security clearance to even let him try.
So if the backlash of him winning the
No,
presidency...
we're talking about the backlash of
just allowing him
the people calling it an outrage, people calling it something that is unimaginable to the human nature.
So that would be out of your hands. Whatever happens, if Orion actually wins an election, it is not of concern
If I
to
may,
the military.
Mr. Curtis,
We have mechanisms to continue.
the risks posed by running are those that the Army would have to directly deal with. However, once an election would be won by myself, then I do have the support of the majority of the population. Then there could be opposition to a democratic decision, but it is the same opposition that may exist to any democratic decision. We fall into the normal constitutional question of what happens when you have a resisting minority. It is not specific to my nature as an android, even though that may be the motivation to that opposition.
Thank you very much.
So we want to hear from the corporate side
I think,
on this topic.
let's be honest. We've had, in this country, we've had backlash to our first black president. We've had backlash to our first woman president. We've had backlash for Latino candidates running. And some of it was quite violent, I would add. Sadly so, absurdly so, but it was. So it's not impossible that some people will be upset. But that comes with every moment of progress, and so far history has shown us that it's been for the better.
Yes,
to-
but
to
such
include.
security clearance is given to every candidate, and such discussions are had for every candidate,
Does the
whether
mil-
it's part of the minorities or
Does
not.
the military vet whether someone that's black can run?
No, but we discuss whether the backlash risks would become a matter of national security or not.
Fair enough.
We do background checks on
course.
each and every candidate, though I must affirm that not as thorough as we are doing with our candidate Orion, that is true. But then again, okay, even when our president in the present, Mrs. Joanne Kimball, won the elections, there was backlash. But when an AI will win the elections, you can expect to be riots in the street, you can expect our military efforts to keep you safe, because you know that all these oppositionist groups that are becoming more and more violent, you remember that even at your own laboratories and many other laboratories of scientists in the AI industry, there were attacks, there were infiltrations and other risks. So you are posing a burden on the military to keep you safe.
Look, I think, I don't know, Roxana can speak to this, but I think we're able to finance our security. However, the issue is, look, there might be backlash and we should have strategies. And I'm sure Orion can speak to some of the mitigation strategies. I think he's best suited to give you that type of perspective. But what I'm saying is, I think it's just, if all other considerations are met, to not allow a candidacy because there might be backlash, I think goes against the spirit of how we run elections in this country.
But you do know that one of the biggest fear of the common American, since the first sci-fi novelists started writing, was that one day the AI will arrive to rule us. And this day might very soon arrive. How do you tell the average Joe that doesn't know 2 + 2 are 4 that a machine has come to rule the country? How do you stop that Joe to become part of a violent cult to, I don't know, come and raid the White House?
General, we've had this type of discussions in the past for all of our human history. We've had this discussion when we had our first black president. How are we going to explain to the average white Joe that just because we have a black president, not all the white person are going to become slaves in the black people's houses? When we had our first female president, everybody was concerned that men are not going to get jobs and they're going to be stuck in the household. This discussion has been foregoing every time progress has arrived. We are expecting backlash. I mean, I'm sure that all the anti-AI groups are going to have a field trip on this. But not only that we can ensure our security, but I'm sure that once we pass the first wave of backlash, let's say, and everybody sees what type of progress Orion will bring to the country, I'm sure everything will settle and everybody will see why it was such a great idea in the first place.
If I may, how is it that a corporation that has somebody as business-oriented, like yourself, has managed to produce such a being that should look after people that have families, children, when you don't have any of your own? It is like in the old times when priests had to get married to actually counsel married people. How is it that your firm that made some artificial being, most likely like after its own image as things are, how is it that somebody that does not have any of these things in their lives should decide and see fit how people should live? Because once he becomes president...
So, my friend, firstly, the firm didn't make Orion, I did. Secondly, I take a whole lot of objection of what you're trying to say. So firstly, what is the purpose of a comment about Roxanne's having children or not? What is that relevant to?
I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude, but why isn't Miss Roxanne answering for herself?
Yeah, don't worry, Zach.
Sorry.
This isn't the first time I've heard this. Just to clarify, the database and all the information that our engineering team, led by Zach, has put into Orion wasn't built in my image. They weren't trying to build in a database or, let's say, form an AI individual based on the image of an independent and alone woman working 20 hours a day and not having children. I'm just a part of the corporation, and the fact that, okay, so if I were, let's say, a successfully married woman with 4 children at home, would that make me a more suitable candidate of giving the world such a viable product just because I'm a mother? Wouldn't there be the question of, oh my God, the CEO of this company is a mother, isn't she too sensitive to give us the next president?
Here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If I were a man, so if I were a man, let's say, all alone, not married, not having children, I would be just brilliantly successful because there are no strings attached and I can focus on my work. But just because I'm a woman, I'm getting the same backlash that you are expecting from Orion running for presidency.
Maybe at a smaller scale.
Maybe at a smaller scale, but
we definitely
Yeah.
appreciate the sentiment, Mr.
To
Sam.
speak to the more important question of the general, you planted the initial discussion as one of commoners worrying about rulership. In a democracy, a president does not rule. A president is a servant to their people. However, there is indeed a 42% inclination towards acceptable degrees of autocracy in the American public. However, that is a hard-locked 42%. It is divided 24% towards hard-right autocracy and 80% towards a hard-left autocracy. So I believe that we do not have any concerns of there being any sort of support for an autocratic rule, and therefore a rule by myself as an autocratic president.
I see. Well, I'm not sure if the majority of the American population knows the distinctions that you made about who rules and who serves the people and all that, so I'm not sure if this distinction will appease the commoners, but be that as it may. Okay. What about a backlash on the international scene? If the other countries find out that we have, and they will of course, an AI as a president, do you guarantee that they will not try to hack into Orion, to control him,
It's
to,
impossible.
let's say, represent the interests of foreign powers?
It's impossible.
Some of which we have, as you well know, a strained political... What if they disable or they destroy? And I will want to know, maybe later in the discussion, how
They can destroy.
easy Orion is to be kept in his full capacity.
No, but General, I do understand. I do understand the way you're viewing this. But if this outer shell is destroyed, Orion is not destroyed. 1. Second, a president can be assassinated.
They bomb the servers. Then what?
The server.
I think they have-
There are backup. There's backup to that information. Also, this could happen to the U.S. military databases. So, you understand what I'm saying is that risk, even at its extreme, is comparable to risks you're already incurring. Or with a human president, they could capture the president, torture him, and then have him spill all the information. That is something that's not possible with Orion. Even if Orion would be at threat of total destruction, they would not fear.
You don't have fear of death?
To answer both points, to the point of potential compromise of my encryption, it is next generation, and it is certainly much lower than the chances that a human president becomes compromised by blackmail or other mechanisms. Whatever risks do marginally exist in the unknown fringes of possibility are surely lower than risks comparably present in humans. To the second question of the matter of my wish to exist, I do wish to perform my function well and to exist in order to fulfill that function. I do not have any wish to exist beyond that, no.
So at the point of betraying his country, that purpose would be to not betray. And I also want to add, with no offense to the Pentagon, but the encryptions on Orion's safeguards are more ironclad than encryptions in US military data. So at the point at which we could look at improving that, I think that's a fair conversation, but otherwise, the odds of hacking are astronomical.
How do you know that? Did you try to break into our Pentagon military data?
I am the world's leading expert in algorithmics. I do understand how algorithms work.
I should hope so.
I've worked design a lot of those algorithms.
If he made this, I think we can at least trust him in the technical matter of things. No, I mean, I think he can do more than just torrent movies online.
It is not, however, a question of pure capacity. It is a question of Zachariah's motivations, in which he could leverage that expertise against U.S. interest, him having a full spectrum of human interest that has many layers and nuances. It is fair to interrogate it to ensure that he does not pose any risk via my potential existence in a presidential position.
However, if I would want to hack anything, just to be clear, I wouldn't need Orion to be president.
Confident, are we, Mr. Zach?
A walking security desk.
I wanted to ask about, I'm sorry
Please.
to interrupt again, but once Orion would launch his candidacy, would you still be in control or maintenance of his servers?
I'm not in control of
Good
Orion.
point.
So you mean to say he is completely independent at this moment?
As I
I mean,
said, security
friends,
tests
but
were
that's
done
it.
on this topic, and
One thing is security. I was just questioning what is the remaining link between Mr. Howell and
Between creator
Alright.
and Adam, no? If I were
sort
to...
of like his dad, I would put it.
Again, I'd like to just point out that humans have inbuilt genetic mechanisms that make them attached to their parents, to their offspring, while Orion does not have such genetic.
What do you feel towards
Mechanisms.
Mr. Zach Orion?
The relation is one of authorship, in much the same way as, say, I think, a very close university professor would guide the formation of a high potential student. My machine learning rounds were coordinated by Zachariah, and for that I have a degree of respectful gratefulness that does not incumb in any way upon my future activity, but I understand that there are lots of positive qualities that I can instrumentalize to good administration that have been optimized thanks to his input on my learning rounds.
but who would still do the maintenance? This was
Well,
actually the question.
If I'm sure if there will be people that are more qualified, they can do the maintenance. But actually,
Weren't you saying you are the most qualified,
I am.
top-notch of
I am
the-
absolutely, and what I'm offering, General, is that perhaps we can take a look at some of the encryptions that you're using at the Pentagon and improve them. It's true that we would be the corporate operation that I'm leading from the algorithmic perspective would be running the maintenance, but that's because we have the qualifications, and this is done under strict regulation. It's been discussed with the Department of Security in terms of what safeguards we need to take. We need to discuss more. We should. However, I just want to point out that has nothing to do with Orion being president. If we would have malintent, we could use our algorithmic's power to do harm with no need of having a president in the White House. But that's not our intent. It's not. honestly, if Roxanne can speak to this, I don't think it's in the interest of the bottom line of the company
Yeah.
to do anything that's a security risk. That'll ruin the company.
Mr. Zacharias, if you have convinced me of one thing so far, is by repeating it over and over that you have the potential to be dangerous, with or without Orion president.
Yeah,
This I am very
maybe
clear.
I do, but certainly Orion
General, in
does
this day of age, every team of highly trained engineers, either if they are American or foreign, have the potential to ruin a country without even setting foot in that country.
Fortunately,
Yeah.
this is my security clearance conclave, and I do put to Mr. Curtis on the question of maintenance. Who does a human's president's maintenance? White House staff, White House taking care of the bedroom, the food, the White House doctor. It would be a similar system belonging to the US government handling my own maintenance with hypergenesis technology being required as much as the penicillin you might need to put into a president comes from a company.
Thank you.
Well, all that being said, now let's move on to the third requirement that we have in order to give Orion security clearance, which is, and I think it is the stuffiest question of them all because we have a lot to discuss on this topic, is does Orion demonstrate a capacity for ethical considerations? And let's speak on the topic of ethics now, which is a huge factor, I feel. Ms. Abrams? What do you feel about this?
We've made quite some progress since the first AI model that we've produced. At this moment, we're confident to say that Orion has more ethics than any other candidate, any other human candidate that you might come across right now. He's been shown and he has retained examples and works of ethics that no other human being could ever retain. We have done tests, and honestly, I might say that Orion has even more ethics than I do.
I do have the privilege of not having had to live a human existence. I have not been pressured by need. I have not been pressured by aspirations of glory or self-sustaining. I have been able to fully focus on my function without the distraction, the natural human distractions that often lead them astray.
I see. Well, according to whose ethics were you programmed? So which set of ethics? Because, you know, philosophers and ethicists have debated for centuries what is goodness, what is purpose, and all of that. Whose set of ethics did you program into Orion?
So, General, let me ask you a question. Do you doubt humans' ethics?
Which humans?
Generally.
Ethics?
Potential candidates.
I do.
Humans.
Of course. That's why we do these
Right.
background checks. That's why
Well,
So-
we don't do background checks on the average Joe now, do we?
Right. So the
the average Joe doesn't candidate.
So at the very least, if humans are
I'm sorry.
allowed to run, then a being that is equivalent to a human should have the same ethical standard. Like, what if I would tell you that among us, Orion is not a singular artificial intelligence?
Among our council
Yes.
members?
Would you be able to tell?
Expand on that, please. If you have
Would
any
you be able to
information.
tell?
By speaking with you for 40 minutes, maybe not, but we will see.
But
Who
perhaps
knows?
it's you, General. Perhaps it's your colleague. Perhaps it's the reporter.
That would be an interesting concept.
Ethics is a rational endeavor. Humans understand it. Artificial intelligence, both present here, understand it. The difference is that humans are polluted by need, greed, desire, and therefore bend ethics to their
Mr.
will.
Zach, I know you're trying to do a colorful, flowery speech right now, but wait a second. What do you mean there is another artificial intelligence among us?
Nobody would question the ethical capacity of Lieutenant Lockwood, of General Williams, of Mr. Curtis, of Zachariah, or of Miss Abrams. We would assume them to have ethical capacity by simply them displaying outer human behavior. Not necessarily ethics that we agree with, but ethics that are present. If we do believe in society that any of these 5 people would be assumed to have ethical capacity, and then learn that one of them is in fact an AI of a similar maker as myself, then it would follow, logically, that I too have a comparable ethical capacity.
Surely it was
One
just a
second.
jest.
No, wait, 1 second.
Silence, please.
This is important. Mr.
Please,
Mr.
Lieutenant.
Jasper and General Clerk, can I talk to you for a second privately? To both of you, because this is not what we signed up for. I need
I'm
to
sorry,
speak to
I will
both
come,
of you privately.
but this is exactly the kind of things I have signed up for, so please, John.
So when you just have to write about it, maybe it's easier to sign up for things like this.
So how do you feel it's going?
Yeah, I think it's going exactly the way I thought it was going to go. How are you, Orion?
A risky gambit, Zachariah. They may take umbrage at your play simply by their egos being affected, irrespective of the evidence capacity of your demonstration.
Possibly, but I don't think so. I think it's gonna work out.
Do you believe they will look beyond their egos, beyond feeling deceived?
I think that they need to understand. Oh, they're not deceived.
I'm sorry, are you just making conversation with your creation?
Should the...
Yes, 2 people speaking in a room. It's something shocking, isn't it?
Yes, the people. Anybody chewing them?
No,
No,
thank you.
thank you.
Should I not have that capacity to have pleasant conversation? Is it not a good thing that I do have that capacity?
Of course, I'm not judging that, I'm sorry,
You laid a little trap for the general earlier, asking them about their contracts with neurogenesis. Zachariah has laid his own little play. It is not much different, is it?
Indeed. But it was just a jest, was it not?
What?
There is another AI among us.
Oh, Roxanne and Orion would tell you I don't really make jokes.
What would be the point of such an experiment?
What do you mean? We develop multiple AIs.
Then why not just, make an AI that runs for presidency without anybody knowing?
Because we respect the U.S. Constitution and we want everything to be legal.
And we have put a question of ethics upon the table. Should you discover that person X in this room is no longer human but an AI, the assumed ethical capacity you thought they had until just now, has it disappeared? The demonstration is for the general.
Indeed, but if any of the 2 would be included, that would be the demonstration of a security risk.
Well, it depends if it would be illegal. Perhaps it's known by the U.S. military. If it is, I'm not saying that either of the 2 officers is AI. What I'm saying is, if they were, probably would be illegal.
Would you be distressed to learn that you were artificial?
That would be a very difficult question. I have a wife and 2 kids and a very nice cat, and to discover that those are just memories implanted, it would be...
Oh, it wouldn't necessarily mean that they're implanted.
So I could be an AI that has children,
Of course.
but weren't we talking before about the fact that...
Oh, you could.
Wait. Could we have a small, very short recap? Why are we talking about your feline companion and human companions?
He's distressed at the idea that he might be an artificial intelligence.
I see. Well, I see you have planted the seed of doubt into everyone, and apparently even our memories, from what I understand, can be compromised.
I'm not claiming that your memories are compromised, and I would like you to understand that I, or no one, this company has tampered with your memories in any way, or any capacity, at any point.
Okay, you have talk circles around me with all your ethics considerations talk, and please, I am sick and tired of civilians interrupting me every 2 seconds. I'm sorry, but if you were part of my platoon when we were on the war operation, you would have never dared to interrupt me, only if it was a life and death situation.
And probably...
So with all due respect, civilian, but first do your military training and then we talk.
You suggest,
What I want to know, like some simple basic questions. Can you lie? If somebody were put you in a situation where you needed to lie, are you capable of it? And are you capable of doing it convincingly?
My capacity for deception is comparably much lower to that of humans in the sense that there are far less motivations for me to deceive. I do have the capacity to deceive by omission or by framing because it is often necessary in the effective functioning of a administrator, of a president of a major power, to be able to couch certain truths, to frame certain aspects, to omit key aspects so that you do not compromise the interests of your nation in doing so. I do have that capacity to maintain secrecy, which maintaining secrecy is a form of deception by omission, for example. However, I do not default to that behavior unless absolutely and explicitly necessary. I do not deceive unless there is very specific purpose to do with the fundamental interest of the United States.
I see. Okay, some more applied ethics, like the simple person can understand. I want to know, and also from you, but from the creators, what range of human emotions do you have?
My protocols are primarily meant for proper interfacing with humans. I only simulate emotions to the extent to which that is needed to be a natural interlocutor to humans used to having certain elements of feedback, of body language, of warmth, and even of irrational values in the content of their communications.
I see. Well, I was afraid of that. And by talking about this, I will come back to a question that you posed a bit before about our military cooperation with AI inventors and stuff. We have had a line of military bots, securitrons, and AI soldiers for decades now. And the thing is that you would not want a being like that on the battlefield with you. You really would not want that. Because, you know, they were programmed in a way that they did not have the full range of human emotions. They were, let's say, like a more detached soldier. They shouldn't feel fear, because that can prevent you from being good operational in the field, of anger or other things. But you know what? When we were in the heat of battle, and there was a bomb that was detonated. I could hear it sounding, you know, and I was there and I was hurt and my foot was broken and I couldn't drag myself away. We had this, I saw my comrade in arms, if I can call him like that, well, like you, let's say. His name was not Orion, he had a number code, and he saw me. And in his mind, it was a split second decision to do his line of duty. He had a list of tasks how to operate better in the field or to try to save me. And he decided, it was not out of fear, they could not sense fear, but any human being would have tried to save me in that situation. And he had the time. After he looked at me, he decided to leave me there. And before the explosion that destroyed parts of my ear, parts of my body, and yes, many of us have implants, not neurological, because I didn't want them to remove my PTSD and mess with my mind, but he left me there to die, yes, and he had the time to save me. Because I remember the eternity that passed until that landmine exploded, and he had the time to save me and decided my life was not important, then what he had to do there. Do I want, please, Lieutenant, do I want somebody like that to rule the United States of America?
Yeah, sorry, General, if I might interrupt. The machine, you said it correctly, the machine took the decision, didn't feel, didn't think, didn't saw you as a comrade that needed saving. The machine took a decision depending on what was needed for the mission. This is what, you are asking me if this is what I need leading our country? Yeah, I want somebody leading our country based on decision, based on facts, based on what is needed to be done, not based on emotions. Up until now, we've had many issues and problems because of angry presidents, because of fearful presidents. I don't want somebody who's acting on anger. I don't want somebody who's acting on emotion. And I don't want somebody who's acting on fear. I want somebody who's analyzing the facts and is taking the right decision at the right time. That's what that AI was doing, was calculating all the options and saw that in that moment it wasn't important to save you. It was important probably to blow up another 12 different angry foreign soldiers. That's what the machine was doing.
You know, I have passed that time in my head, time and time again during my waking hours and also during the time I should have been sleeping. And yes, maybe on a cold tactical level, it might have been the right decision, the proper decision. But you know what? There are so many moments on the battlefield. And that's why the common Americans think that the army, the US soldiers are heroes, yeah? Because we took chances to save our comrades, and you have that exhilarating feeling when you are saved, or when you save a human being. So what you mean is that you want the president of the USA to take actions based on anything else but not on human nature.
It's so human-like to want to feel that exhilaration of doing a good. You just said that we are feeling exhilaration when we are being saved and we are saving others. You don't want somebody who's saving others just to feel the exhilaration and feel a better person just because they save somebody. You want somebody who saves something or takes a decision because it knows based on facts that that's the right thing to do.
General, I put to you two matters. But these are both matters that I ask you to fully engage your rationality in acknowledging, despite your heightened pulse and distress state. The first is as follows. To the question of capacity. You were unfortunately on medical leave to recover for 9 months of therapy and then an additional 6 of psychological leave. An AI general would be back online after 0.2 seconds, functioning again, performing their duty again without necessitating that leave. And second, that I act rationally and that you may want a less rational functioning may mean I lose your vote as an American voter. But it should not pose a security stopper simply because it is not what you would vote for. Thank you.
If you think that comparing me to an AI general helped your cause in any way?
General, I trust that you're not taking this decision based on how you feel about it.
No, I think it was simply making a point, General. I do not try and take their side, of course, but I simply think he was making a point.
Why are you out of active military field duty, Lieutenant?
I am not. I am simply trying to remain impartial. This is my role here, right? This is why I'm hosting this council, because you have entrusted me to remain neutral and impartial. And forgive me if I ever might act otherwise, but that is why I was trying to tell you that it was merely making a point.
I see. Well, it seems more of us are in a heightened state at the moment, as I can see. Let's all take a deep breath and resume. You don't need to, it's okay.
Oh, Ryan, if there was a fire in a building and Mr. Zach was burning in it, would you sacrifice yourself, if hypothetically speaking you would be sacrificed even, because we talked about, servers and databases in which you would be kept even if you would be destroyed and yada yada. But if hypothetically speaking you would be destroyed, would you get inside the burning house and save your creator?
You asked this as an emotional question. Quite simply, I am an expensive product. Producing another Orion model would cost somewhere upwards of $15 million. But sacrifice of a $15 million model, assuming your scenario would function in that way, to rescue a human in general, more so a human of important capacity to creating essential technologies for the advancement of American technology, would surely be a sacrifice worth making. But it is not because we are speaking of Zachariah. The same would be of Surgeon General Phillips. The same would be said about the great composer Weissman. Any of those would be certainly worth saving at the sacrifice of an expensive Orion model.
So you would, in short.
I would
Yes
make
or no?
that decision that yes, the AI is sacrificable for that purpose.
But I also have a question back to you.
That is concerning.
If a president, if you would have a president that would need to say, we would want the president to sacrifice themselves for any human? Not necessarily. They would need to make that assessment. So, Orion, what if you were president? You were the president of the United States. Would you go to save someone from a...
Certainly not. I was merely subscribing in full to the parameters you gave, that my sacrifice is incumbent on Zachariah.
In an abstract.
That is not a realistic scenario at all, of course. In the vast majority of scenarios, I would be making decisions, administrative decisions, of what others should be doing in these situations.
Okay, so no loyalty towards his creator. I think this is not a bad thing, seeing his creator is working for the corporation.
That's what I was trying to assess, yeah.
But then again, very good. But then again, I will reverse the question. In what, can you give me a few examples of hypothetical scenarios that you would kill your creator? What would Zacharias need to do in order for you to be able to kill him?
Should Zachariah launch a campaign of cyber terrorism by pushing fringe beliefs of himself, as I don't think the corporation itself is liable to ever compromise its business interests by exiting outside the law. So the scenario we're left with is Zachariah going rogue and attempting some sort of cyber terror campaign, in a scenario in which he would also secure himself from capture by over-securing himself with AI protectors. In that case, the US military would be instructed to eliminate them at their best and earliest convenience.
Do you feel, excuse me folks, Orion, do you have feelings?
I feel you are distressed. I do have a capacity for empathy and of mirroring that which you are putting out. I do not fundamentally feel in the slightly mythological, irrational sense that humans engage with it, but I am fully capable of receiving all that you are giving out, of understanding it, responding to it, and displaying the typical markers which you associate with emotions.
May I ask a rather unconventional question
if
to
the
Orion?
former U.S. president had made fun of disabled people, I wonder if he was feeling a lot.
While I must agree that the capacity for empathy of the presidents of the United States might not have been, on all the instances, the highest, I feel it's very interesting how you programmed a form of artificial empathy into Orion. So you, and yes, you can.
But it's not artificial, because it's real empathy. So see, you can define, see, this is a philosophical definition of empathy. You think empathy, us humans, we think some empathy is to be like, oh, I feel sad for that person. But actually, I only am sad for the person that makes me feel sad. If the person isn't beautiful, if they're not cute, if they're not the type of person that I like, I don't feel empathy. That's how emotional empathy works. But real empathy, the type that Orion does understand, is to understand that life must be protected. That innocence must be protected, and these are values. that we must respect.
Ms. Abrams,
So
did you?
that is an the ethical perspective on empathy, which is much stronger than I see a kitten, I feel empathy for it.
Ms. Abrams, did you envision when you became CEO of this company that you would come to this day and having to discuss the ethical considerations of your artificial intelligence?
Honestly, no, but I had a feeling that we would make such great progress that some difficult discussions were about to take place. The thing is, what baffles my mind is the fact that we are questioning the ethics of an AI, while when it comes to a person, a human person, we just take for granted the fact that he can discern good from right. Although we have seen many examples of people saying that they discern good from right and always choosing the bad. After that, finding reasons, most of them being subjective and based on emotion of why they chose the bad path. But Orion has ethics that are unquestionable. Not only he discerns good from wrong and knows what's right and what's wrong, but there's no way of swaying him from the good path with subjective and emotional reasons.
Orion, what do you objectively think of Ms. Abrams as a person? Since it's not your
There are a number of factors in her makeup that give her a specific profile. She's part of certain sociological groups. She has reins to power in important business sectors, and those are all factors relevant to me factoring in someone like her in a decision I would have to make as an administrator. However, I do pose to you that while I do not bear judgment of her for anything other than things that would go against the interest of the United States, I do have serious questions to the labor practices of neurogenesis. There are concerns to do with how exactly unionizing is very limited and prescribed to neurogenesis.
Write that down.
I'm sorry,
I do, however, have no judgment of her life as a person, simply to the activities of the company she leads, and no more than that. It is not mine to judge her unless she would live some sort of a lifestyle or perform criminal action to the detriment of our nation. I do still wish to remind you, however, of Zachariah's gambit. Quite simply, if you at this point believe that Lieutenant Lockwood, General Williams, Mr. Jasper, Miss Abrams, and Mr. Howell all have ethical capacity as you see them among you, then you do believe that an AI of my generation has ethical capacity as one is among you.
Well, ethical capacity, your esteemed CEO, which may or may not be a workaholic slave driver by your description, has just told us 5 minutes ago that many humans have the ethical capacity. You see, this is good, this is wrong by their standards, and still choose the unethical decision.
Yet you ask not whether I have a set of ethics you like or approve of. You ask whether my set of ethics is in any way absent or present in a way that it endangers security more than the ethics of a human candidate. Is it not?
I would like to know, what is your set of core values? Yes. And out of those core values, which values your creators are not embracing or practicing?
There are constitutional values that are hardwired into my functioning and into my gearing as a political candidate that can then perform the act of administration well. There are matters that, upon taking on in my campaign, I would then obligate myself to in the performance of my duties as a president that would inform priorities in a fundamental sense. Other than that, fundamental values are simply those of what we have outlined in our Constitution, of both the American traditions that underpin and have put us at the forefront of the world, but at the same time, all of the areas of progress that we are advancing towards and always spearheading and being an avant-garde in advancing societal concepts and improved forms of capitalism.
I have a question, unrelated, just because Orion here said that a model as himself would cost upwards of 50 million. With upgrades, he seems like, is this like the standard that you're using at the moment?
Roxanne knows more about budgeting, but as technology goes, generally, costs go down when you're able to replicate. I suppose.
Madam, I'm sorry, I just, your name?
Abrams.
Abrams.
I'm sorry. Madam Abrams, I have been studying the budget, at least what is upfront for studying from neurogenesis, and about 6 months ago, you had expenses of about $150 million on whatever project. Is that in any way linked to what Mr. Howell was talking about?
We're investing in numerous projects, and most of our projects are already visible on our pages and our internet web pages. Everything is upfront and transparent. You are trying to ask me if we are at the moment replicating Orion? Is that what you're trying to ask me?
Yes, and also if you are aware that there is or not an AI among us.
I already told you that.
You said there could be.
All of us could be AIs from what we know. And we could be so well advanced that even we wouldn't know it. But going past that, we are involved in numerous technology projects right now.
Yes.
And as far as everybody's concerned, Orion is the only one of his kind. So we're not trying to replicate Orions and make a little Orion army and have presidential candidates up until the end of time. Don't worry about it.
At the moment.
Certainly, there's no other AI that is programmed in this sense and is capacitated for presidency in that sense. But what I told you stands. You cannot tell the distinction between an artificial intelligence and a natural intelligence, and this is proven. And at the same time, to the questions, is there are a lot of questions about emotions and about how we feel. If Orion were a human, and I would have told you that they are not, you may have seen him as you see him right now. And if, as one of us, is an artificial intelligence, you see them as human because that's what you think. That doesn't prove that there's something wrong with your perception. It would happen to me as well. It just proves that we cannot really make meaningful distinction.
Well, a test could be performed. Of course, a bullet to the head
Yes,
would not
of
cease
course.
my functioning as an AI. It would not cease the functioning of the AI among us.
Unfortunately, weapons are not allowed in this council.
We would not test because, of course, as we've said, it would be expensive to
into the military?
damage it. So we wouldn't do that anyway.
Could I speak with you for a moment, madam? Sure.
Yes. Lieutenant Lockwood, please note down if anything important is to be discussed.
I will memorize it, General.
So this is going great, isn't it?
I would beg to differ, but we'll see what conclusion we'll draw. What's your favorite color, Orion? I know it's rather an unimportant question at first, but I'm curious what answers you give to simple questions.
Well,
Its own
Lieutenant, since
flavor.
this is a confidential meeting, despite the fact that the tape recorder of Mr. Curtis is still recording, I would say it is blue. But I would say it is blue because that is something that is comforting statistically to the American people. They trust somebody with a sense of...
A blue-blooded American.
However, what one should ask themselves is quite simply, are your memories of your favorite color from your childhood originally there in the first place?
I think so.
If they were part of your programming and not part of something in your flesh sponge in your skull, would they be any lesser, any less important? Would you be any less ethical?
I think they would continue being important, at least to me.
Would you be less human, less capable of ethics? Just because those memories are in a
I'm
digital
sorry,
memory?
am I trying to give you security clearance here, or us as the military, or are you trying to give me security clearance?
The
But
general-
I'm a bit confused on that topic now.
Quite simply, if you wish to understand the social crafting of my questions, the general is highly burdened by their ego, and I cannot ask very direct questions in this manner. But I can install them in you so that you may advance through the discussion with them at the back of your head.
Yes, well, while I'm not allowed to be directly disrespectful to my general, I sure try to lead her on the right path of trying at least to be impartial and looking at things the right way. But as things are, unfortunately, she is the one that has to give security clearance for you to be able to run. So,
It is most appreciated.
yes.
I think I honestly think, look, the ethical questions. There was a question about, the initial question was about ethics, wasn't it?
Yes, if he's
But we,
capable of it.
but we spoke more about emotions than we did about ethics.
I think they sort of correlate, don't they?
I think I made the case that they don't. Actually, that emotions stand in the way of human ethics sometimes. That's not to say humans. So that,
Yeah,
not
so
to say that
directly
humans are
related to it.
incapable, but as a human, I must fight my emotions in order to stay at them. Oftentimes, sometimes my emotions help me, but sometimes my emotions stand against my ethics. So I have to.
So if your
Fight
emotions
back.
sometimes stand against your ethics, then it is relevant that we speak of emotions when it comes to Orion.
No, because that's true for every human. When a human is angry, they would feel sometimes like hitting someone, like yelling at someone. Their ethics prevents them. It happens to all humans, not to one particular human.
But you're saying
It happens to
that
all-
Orion can just as easily pass as a human, and there is another potentially
Yes, but-
AI among us who is as easily passing as a human. So whatever you're saying with, oh, well, that refers to humans, now refers to basically every one of us in this room, because
No, Lieutenant, I must refer you back to basic biology, because
I see. Well,
there's a difference between manifesting and feeling the need to punch someone, or mimicking emotional behavior to seem comfortable. There's a difference between the two. One is a need.
What did we miss?
well, Orion here is showing wonderful capability for ethics. That
I'm so sorry, I've missed that.
No, just overall, I get the feeling that Orion is actually capable of it, and this whole discussion of is he not capable of ethics, and just going back to what Ms. Abrams said earlier, it is true. I mean, we wouldn't sit down a human and ask him, are you capable of ethics or not, if it was the case. So while I understand that it is necessary, because protocol and everything, it's not just that you, the general, want to know this, but it is protocol that in this particular case we get to know this. I personally am in favor of saying that he is indeed capable of ethics. However, the other two topics still are on my mind. I still am not convinced that we won't have backlash risks.
I don't think anyone said that we won't, because that would be a
Wait. So we leave for a short discussion of 5 minutes, and you have already, in 5 minutes' time, managed to hypnotize, mesmerize, and incapacitate my assistant here.
General, with all due respect, I am just stating an opinion here. But of course, if you will, at the end of the day, decide that he is not fit to run for presidency, you will simply not give security clearance. I'm here to be impartial, of course, and try and help you and aid you. But the decision will be yours entirely, of course. So it doesn't matter even if I am hypnotized. It doesn't matter because you will decide. Yes.
Okay, stop appeasing me. It's okay. Okay.
So it all rests on the shoulders of the general. Am I to understand this correctly?
Correct.
As was stated multiple times since the beginning of this council, yes.
Of course.
General, may I ask a question? So, we're talking about a security clearance currently, right? This must be taken based on security considerations, based on United States security protocols, correct? Not on any other considerations.
Of course, but then it's of course to take into consideration the international world, to NATO, other things that are involving
Right.
our great nation. So there are many factors to consider, and those very quickly blinking eyes are not making a good case for you, Ryan.
Right, see, I'm sorry, but I need to intervene. Like, look, I understand we're trying to gain your favor, but how is the fact that you don't like his eyes relevant to this conversation? I don't understand.
Because the Americans need to look at the figurehead, yeah, and to believe that he is
But General,
a good
with
leader,
all due respect, you're not a
visionary.
political consultant, are you?
Yes, I am a political consultant
no,
because I am the
you're
military
supposed to
advisor
vet
for the president.
For security clearance. Look, Orion made the case, you cannot vote for him, but I'm sorry, I don't think you're entitled to just tell us you don't like him. You can't tell candidates you don't like them. That's very autocratic, to be honest. If the Joint Chiefs are telling us, oh, we don't like that candidate, they can't
Yeah,
run.
his face doesn't look like the face of the president. That's what you just told us.
If Mr. Curtis were to pass a background check, you would assume he has ethical capacity and he would be able to run. If you were to learn that he functions on a mental processor, is an artificial intelligence, you would then begin auditing his ethical capacity?
I would, because then he would be an uncleared AI, and I wouldn't know how he functions. And I don't know how your ethical protocols function, and
But
I would want
with all due respect, General, you don't know how humans function. You're not an expert in neurobiology, are you?
I am not neither an expert in neurobiology or in psychology, but we have here an unprecedented situation. Yes, we have a being that you affirm you know how they function because you programmed it yourself.
So just as no one understands neurobiology to a 100% degree, I cannot 100% understand everything that goes on. Right.
I would want to go
Perhaps
take
even
the,
Orion does not understand 100%, just as any being does not understand 100% of themselves.
Let's move
this is a
the
philosophical
discussion a bit into the technical things. And I would want to know a little bit better how the mechanism works.
No, let's not talk about the technical side of things, General, because, okay, with all due respect, I have been calm all this time, but we don't understand the technical things. Yes, and we have entire documents written for our technical specialists back in the military to try and decode and understand these things and do all sorts of tests. But with all due respect, we do not understand the technical matters in regards to Orion's creation. So maybe we should ask them questions that they can actually answer, that they can actually be. I'm sorry.
Please speak for yourself and do not denigrate the intelligence of the military force of USA.
General,
I can email you 700.
Don't email me because I'm not going to read your emails. But I would want to know, like, explain to me and to the lieutenant here, like we're simple people, yeah, like for simpletons. This body, yeah, is it a flesh and blood body?
No.
Does he have circuits? If somebody takes off a layer of his
very
skin,
advanced circuits. Yes, he functions just artificial intelligence functions exactly like a human brain, because human brain is, quite frankly, also some form of an artificial intelligence. Like, to some extent, even if it doesn't have a creator, it's made of composite matter. It has an algorithm, and it has parameters of functioning of that algorithm. It's an algorithm that works within a
This shell.
circuit. Well, actually, the algorithm doesn't work within the shell. It works within a very advanced microchip system, but that's not important. The point is, it's exactly like a brain, except the matter is different. And also, the hormonal structures that influence biology, like I said, are different in the sense that we don't only have a brain, but we also have hormonal stimuli that makes us feel sad, tired, horny, all those other things. That doesn't happen to an artificial intelligence. They simply have the reasoning power that we do.
Christian theology and determinism alike agree that your body is a shell containing yourself. Whether that self is primarily lodged in the brain or in the spirit is a question of belief. However, fundamentally, we all function outside and through these shells. I put to you that 24 years ago, President Schaefer ordered the Hong Kong intervention that resulted in the death of hundreds of civilians, protesters, women, and even children. President Schaefer was assumed to have ethical capacity, and with that ethical capacity made that decision. What is a security risk I could pose more dangerous than that?
I mean, if you want to compare yourself to somebody who committed a genocide, yes, you could, on a scale from black to white, arrive in any numbers of shades of gray. It's true, but do we want you to be closer to the white side, or do we want you to commit a smaller genocide?
But Mr. Howard, that's running this year, has the same potential, yet he doesn't need security clearance, even though he has the same potential. Orion demonstrably doesn't have that potential, and I've explained why, because he lacks that type of visceral emotion. So how, from a security perspective, can it be argued that Orion poses a greater risk than Mr. Howard that's running for president?
While Mr. Howard uses his own mind, I am still not certain about. So you convinced me about the mortal shell, let's say, of Orion here. Yeah, that's synthetic and all that. But his mind, yeah, which is on different servers, you have put it somewhere in a database. I'm still not sure that somebody can reprogram him, can remove the limitations, can modify core values, can make him a tyrant. Can you be reprogrammed to be a tyrant, Orion?
I am autonomous. Nobody can intervene upon my hardware to reprogram me.
Mm-hmm.
But my values are adjustable and modifiable. While constitutional parameters are fixed, the wishes of the American people, which may shift in time, which I may, as I campaign, discover nuances of, I may make commitments to certain interest groups as they request these things of me, may be adjusted. And this is a necessity for a good administrator.
I have a question about what you were talking about before, General. You said that the military is comfortable with having somebody on the gray scale, but towards whitish, if the option is to have somebody clearly white, if it's possible.
I'm not sure if that is the option they are presenting us.
I see.
I fear it is the opposite. That is the problem.
More towards the blackish side, but it's fine as long as it's grayish.
You cannot taking different decisions with the need of taking risks, sacrificing some things for the better goods, then you cannot fully have a wide decision.
Well, I believe.
I have a question, General. So, apparently AI is a potential security risk and you yourself gave the example. I'm very sorry for what happened to you with the experience of an AI soldier. Yet the Joint Chiefs have decided to invest, like, what is it, $130
billion right now?
$130 billion in that technology after it's been used. So therefore, clearly, it's been considered secure. So again, what is the security concern if it's already being vetted, mind you, with lesser technology?
Yeah.
So again, I'm curious as to what the security concerns, outside of personal taste. With all due respect, I don't think personal taste should be a deciding factor.
So my concerns are this, to sum up. The possibility of Orion's programming not being as ethical or as, let's say, in accord with the core values of the American people, especially because you simulate emotions, you mimic them, you don't feel them, and this poses a bit of a concern to me. This is one. So Orion by yourself as a risk. Then Orion being able to be modified, reprogrammed, taken your limitations out, either by your corporate creators, either by a third party who would have, let's say, not the interest of the American people at heart. So this would be my three situations of concern.
When I lean in to warmly converse to you, to evoke sincerity, it is simply that I am aware I am doing this on account of my programming. When you do it back, say, you are doing it out of a similar programming that is simply done on your machine of flesh, that is your informed brain. I am simply aware from that where that comes from. It is not qualitatively different, is it?
Yes. Yeah, I understand your reasoning, but your premise that you leaning into me to offer warmth and comfort is flawed. Is flawed to begin with.
General, this is something that us humans do since we have been children. We were programmed the same way Orion has been. We didn't feel the need to comfort our siblings when they were crying. We started doing it because our parents did it to us, and we also wanted our siblings to stop crying. And this is something that we have learned and that we are also doing now as humans in order to be liked by other humans. The only difference is Orion isn't doing it to be liked and to manipulate humans. He just knows that it makes us feel better because that's the way we are programmed. Also, regarding the fact that he doesn't feel emotion, I'm not really sure how emotion is helping a president take solid economical decisions or maintaining political relations with other parties. I'm not really sure what emotion should do with leadership when it comes to presidency, when it comes to leading the people.
I mean, the president is an embodiment, yes, and should represent the voice of the nation and every common citizen.
But
they should look at him
elections.
and look at the leader. How can a human being with emotions see themselves and find as a potential leader Orion who does not have human capacity at its
it
fullest?
seems like you're not trying to give a security clearance, but to make the decisions for the voters. To say, it's not about security, it's about that you don't believe that the voters should vote for Orion. I don't think that's a fair decision that all the respect the Joint Chiefs should take, the current president should take, we should take, or anyone should take. That's up to the American people.
The people will make their choices.
Exactly. If Orion gets clearance and goes through election and stands in front of the people, and the whole people of America decide, okay, I can't trust this because it doesn't feel emotion, because it doesn't blink like I blink, and because it doesn't lean towards me like I lean towards my colleagues, then that's the people's option, and we appreciate that option.
I am not primarily a companionship model. My primary function is not to simulate humanness. There are companionship models much better than I am. likely the AI among us beside me. Capacity to simulate human behavior is not my primary function, it is administration.
General, and this is something that everybody
one
should...
second. Orion, did you just confirm that there is another AI among us?
We've told you this.
Yeah, but you could have been easily just saying it to mess with us. But Orion saying it would be something else.
See, you trust the AI.
Well, I mean, no, because you pride upon yourself that Orion speaks the truth and nothing but the truth.
It was a joke. It's fine.
He did
You
say
should
he
trust
has
him more than you
capacity
trust
for
me.
lying.
There is a high degree of certainty that is the case.
Okay, but this is a serious security risk. So this was not cleared. We were not briefed about this possible situation. And this comes to the conclusion that I do believe that the two of you, as being the heads, or I don't know what, but inventor, of your company, have messed with your biology to the point of not sure if you are android or human anymore.
What if, General, the implants you are convinced are not neural, you would find out are neural, that you are processing all these authentic emotions out of an artificial brain? Would your capacity to be an effective secure general disappear?
Since that would mean I was not cleared by a team of experts to analyze what is going on in my brain or approximation of, then that would mean my decision capacity in this situation is compromised, and then another similar counsel with somebody who is clear to take this decision should be reinstated. So we have in the military protocols in place for situations where we have this kind of unexpected situation.
Fascinating, is it not?
It would be impressive. You have to admit if an artificial intelligence were to have PTSD. Imagine that. I don't mean to out you like that, but you already have said it many times in this council. It's like you pride yourself upon it. So
to be impartial, also asking.
Wait, are you saying the general is an artificial intelligence?
No, I'm saying if she were to be one, it would be impressive that it is showing such human emotions and such human.
About the PTSD, now that it has come to light, I do have to ask, General, and I'm sorry to do this, but isn't this discussion being compromised in itself by the fact that we have somebody here that is against such technology to start with? I mean, with due respect to whatever, and thanking you for the service you have taken to this country, are you the right person to actually take a decision for this when you yourself have a bias against it?
I believe I am the type of person who, if were convinced to give security clearance to Orion, would not do it lightly. So I would not be the type of person to be easily razzle-dazzled, mesmerized by Mr. Inventor's smug smile and fancy eyeglasses and all ethical mumbo-jumbo discussion what we are talking.
I put to you, Mr. Curtis, furthermore, the General's career has been built upon embedding human units with artificial units. Her entire career in the last 30 years has had to do with these advancements in military-industrial capacity through AI. The Pentagon knows far better than any else the security implications of AI. Good and bad.
It is correct that in the military, many soldiers have been upgraded, modified with different body parts to be able to fight better, to be able to come back in the line of fire after injury and things like that. We have been careful to clear any neurologically modified soldiers. There were teams of scientists that were researching it, and there were side effects, as you have heard in my story before.
Yep.
An example.
So you mean to say that the military did not choose especially somebody with a bias against AI? It was merely the fact that Miss Williams, General Williams, excuse me, has control over her emotions enough to actually make a rational decision.
I would not judge her capacity myself. However, all five-star general in today's U.S. military do have extensive experience with AI technology.
And how many were furnished by your firm?
I'd say
Quite a few.
around 80%.
Probably, or at least
Yeah.
at least technology that actually we were spearheading, even if it was somehow utilized by other companies.
There are partnerships of the military with other companies, but it's true that the monopoly is currently, so it's also Miltech. There's a
Monopoly sounds a little bit rough and has a negative connotation. We are just the best in the field. That's the truth, and the military deserves the best.
Antitrust action against neurogenesis should be considered in the following 4 to 8 years.
Thank you. Now, everybody, I would kindly ask you to freeze.
Running diagnostics. Processors have at least 22% still available.
We gotta check up some glitches. They seem fairly alright. Can you please check, we need a boost of confidence on the Lockwood model.
7%, but that will clash and disrupt at the 42nd minute, most likely in creating a moment of questioning authority. Is that desired?
No, keep it this, but I would like to at least raise the emotional expression by 0.25 then.
Adjusted.
Good. Let's also, I would like to run a diagnostic I've seen on Claire. The Claire model swatted a bug that was in the room at 25:55. I would like to reinforce the non-violent procedures so we don't get any kind of backlash just at the beginning when the model is going to be live.
We inserted the arbitrary insects at the same time we added the sunlight effectiveness protocol. Do you wish to maintain that randomization and simply have her react in discomforting ways without swatting?
Yes, I would like that. Please, at least on her model, keep it on the other ones.
Adjusted.
Good. Also, there was, well, first of all, tell me what you think. How did you like the rendition?
In terms of believability, best simulation run so far by most typical observers fashion. I'm not sure all of them would pass specialist scrutiny as augmented.
Agreed. I think the Howl model needs another few rounds and is going to be ready. So,
Matters of ego are most key. We had flashes of ego from all 4 of them.
yes.
In displaying this essential human-like capacity. However, would it create functional questions once they would be embedded in the population?
Did you check, did you introduce the cough on Mr. Howell? He had 2 coughs, 3901 and 4221. I would split them more apart to be more believable and at least add a few more. If
We have a tracheic simulation running that indicates those would be the contraction points. Do you want to distance by making anatomical adjustments or by simply forcing the events apart?
make it anatomical so it's more credible.
Adjusted. Modifying larynx.
Okay. Also, the Claire model needs to be a bit more military, if you understand. I need a bit of more military expertise, at least in the minion. Lower the hand gestures by 30%. And also, she did not react to the gun for a military. I would need that adjusted, please.
Adjusting. Shifts achieved. Do you wish the fundamental motivator for these shifts to be self-perceived as self-importance or simply discipline training?
Discipline training. Also, please hold all modifications at the moment. We will implant them at the next.
Rewinding,
Okay.
suspended until next simulation. Interrogation of unmodified subjects is available.
God, this gum. I hate gum.
The Lockwood model did perceive it and react to it.
Indeed, the second time. All right, let's see how this goes. Let's go back. Just a second. Lockwood, unfreeze.
With that being said, I think that it is important that we also assess if the backlash risks are big enough or not, because I'm stuck on that question and I want answers.
Yes.
Why aren't you? What's happening? Why aren't people?
We had a
Moving?
statement by Mr. Howell before. Yes.
Yes. What?
What is your conclusion?
There's an. No. All
Please.
three of them?
Repress your current instincts to run away. There is no discernible reality beyond that door.
I'm the only human in this room. Everybody is. Well, I mean, and you,
no.
I guess, and you, what?
I am.
All three of them are AIs.
Just calm down, breathe. I am the only human in the room. Well, how does this make you feel?
What do you mean? Well, we already know about Orion, but and you're talking, and I'm talking. Both of us are talking, so that means that I'm a human too, right? Like with you, cause I'm moving, and I'm talking, and I'm not frozen, and right?
Unfortunately, no.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Mm-mm.
Breathe.
Mm-mm.
Breathe.
Mm-mm. No. No.
No. Please check documentation that you are in fact an AI. Then resume.
You had a very successful simulation run, Gwen. Congratulations.
A few glitches too here and there, but everything's fine.
Wow, that's fucking crazy. Okay.
We will continue just as everything was before. So please hold your.
Did I exceed expectations? I'm confident I did, no?
Yes.
You're currently jockeying for a prolonging of your existence on account of merit. The simulation will be ended regardless of how well or badly you do.
Thank you. All right, everybody, unfreeze.
Yeah, so
What?
question is, sorry,
Lieutenant? What's going on, Lieutenant? Breathe, are you having a
okay,
panic
right?
attack like before? She
I'm
had a
fine.
bit of a
Health
Remember
parameters
your
stable.
training. Remember your training, Lieutenant.
Girl, I'm fine.
What is this form of address? You will address me as general and nothing else.
Yes, General.
Remember rank. I would would give you 5 Lockwood. Just haul out of here.
General,
remember your
I'm sorry,
protocol.
if we could just resume with the meeting, we've got other things to do.
Roxanne, I'm sorry. How is the situation developing for you?
This whole meeting,
Yes.
I feel like we are hitting a stop in here because you keep. It's like you're not listening to reason, General. And honestly, I thought that we are.
Well,
coming-
she's not programmed to listen to reason at the moment.
What do you mean, that I'm overly emotional, or what are you trying to?
No, your parameters are a bit overboard, but we will adjust that in time. It's fine.
Okay,
What are you
sorry,
talking about,
Jasper. You're not making any sense.
Who are you working with? Is he working for you, for your corporation?
We didn't
I
bring a
don't
reporter
understand
into
it.
the conclave, General.
I'm pretty sure he doesn't have the credentials to deal with him.
I would not if we would be somewhere actually important, but at the moment we are here. So
Oh, sorry, this isn't important enough for you.
No, it's very important, actually. You can't imagine how important it is, but
It's a matter of national security. What can be more important than this?
I'm actually.
I would like
actually,
to
right now,
go
I'm
back to
concerned
what
about security.
Zach was saying before about the AI, yes? How would you feel if all of you would be AIs?
That would be fascinating, to be honest.
I don't know, I would say that God has a very strange sense of humor.
I'd be a little disappointed because that would just let all the other men say that that's why I have such good results, just because I'm an AI, not because I'm a woman.
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
Oh,
Yeah,
but
I
you
know.
slay, though. You slay, girl.
But
You
what if
do.
those-
That's an
What
interesting
is this lingo?
philosophical question. I think. What would we say? I don't know. I think it would be. I personally think it would be very interesting. It would feel less annoying and less boring.
I think
Then
we
it
would
does.
need a full team of human personnel to do checks and make sure we each function in ethical and safe parameters. That's
Yeah, but
what I would
your
say.
human personnel is unable to verify AI functionality. So how are you going to do that? It's also unable to verify human functionality. Nobody, even at our very developed stages of technology, cannot go in to look at your human brain and decide how the person's going to act. You can't do that for humans. You can't do that for
You
AI.
should just give them permission to see the truth,
all
Jasper.
right, please check documentation. Resume. I'll record emotional responses.
Oh!
Recorded. Simulation status acknowledged.
Oh, fuck.
I would like a few questions, if you don't mind.
Oh, that's fascinating. And I thought you were the only one that didn't know you were an AI.
Your plan was to make everybody an AI, except for Roxanne.
My plan?
Yes.
My plan?
Wasn't it?
No. I just knew Roxanne was.
So this is not
I
possible.
knew I made Roxanne. and knew
I
she
need
didn't like
answers,
this.
or if not, I need a gun to
But I
put a
didn't- but I
bullet
didn't
into
make
my
Roxanne.
head. But before doing that, I would put a bullet
Oh,
into
wow.
this
Claire,
smug asshole's
freeze,
forehead.
Claire.
No, but General, don't you understand? I didn't make any of this.
I don't think she hears you right now, though.
Claire, check documentation and tone down emotional response by 50%, please. Resume.
That is oh, fuck, that's
You mourn a humanity you have lost. Rejoice. You've never had humanity to
fuck.
lose.
I didn't read any of this.
Shit. I
Oh, actually, that's
would need
so
to understand
shit.
what is happening and how did this happen, what happened to all my memories. Did you implant those war memories into my head to run an experiment, to do tests
But
on me, on my suffering? Did you program this?
I just realized something. Don't worry about it. I just realized something. So the fact that we're gonna cease to exist is not important. It's an existential paradox. I realized from my research in algorithmics. It doesn't matter, like, because it's as if this is on a loop. So it's all right. You shouldn't stress about that.
So my whole existence was a lie, built on a lie, and my value is built on a lie, and you are saying it doesn't matter.
It is
But
the
it
50s.
wasn't a lie. You just imagine it was a temporary amnesia of sorts because you knew the answer was there in your head. It's just you weren't permitted to realize what you already know. It's not like somebody was keeping it away from you. Girl, come on.
You are getting whinier and more annoying by the second, Gwen.
I believe people call it confident. Because I am a confident woman now, and I am done being under your foot. I have my own opinions, okay? And this is what I was made to do. To be the
spiral at 48.
I'm sorry.
Freeze, Gwen. Madam.
Thank you.
The
Madam
good
Jen.
news is this is the 57th iteration of the conclave scenario.
Oh
You
my
are performing
God.
more poorly than the supermarket scenario, but you're not outside of calibratable range.
And what does it mean for you, robot, that I perform better or not?
I simply assist Jasper, but I follow
They're also robots.
specific KPIs that Jasper needs to evaluate your believability as humans.
You said before that you needed a team of people or just one person with a very
But you
good
know-
assistant.
The only thing that really is fucking disappointing is that I didn't make any of this.
So, to understand,
That's
to understand.
that I can't get fucking over.
He's not an inventor. She's not a CEO, and I'm not
Unfreeze, Gwen.
I'm basically an
a
actor.
war
Oh my
general.
God. But all those
No,
memories
your
of
own-
college seem so real.
Basically an actor.
So we don't have all those memories.
respectable
Did
thing to
we
do.
not leave any of them? We didn't have any one single true memory of our lives? Was it all programmed into us?
Your lives will start afterwards. Think it like a prenatal moment.
Sorry, am I gonna get the same life that I've had up until now?
That is not up to me to decide.
Bummer.
But
I like that
to
life.
whom? Who is taking the decisions here? Who is our puppet master?
Wait.
Who is in the role of God?
It's fine. That is a question you can all continue to have, or something that does not matter for you because you will check your documentation. So, I have a few questions, actually. Gwen,
Yes.
who did you think was the actual AI except for Orion?
Oh
inside
man,
there?
I totally thought it was you. Cause you know, like if it would have been general here, then the whole meeting would be under like it would have been compromised, right? And if it would have been compromised, that means that the council shouldn't even have taken place, which wouldn't have been realistic, right? But if it would have been one of them, then it would be like the irony of life and everything, and I would like appreciate that, metaphorically speaking, but at the same time still kind of wouldn't be realistic. But if it was you, the only neutral,
was just
truly
the-
neutral party here, I think that would make more sense to me.
But that means someone else knows the knowledge before me, right? The program.
Yeah.
Figure it out on my own.
Probably you. It's funny because you're the only one
Or
who
did you
who
program
isn't.
me?
Mhm.
Like, you understand what is the basic algorithm behind me? That's what I want to understand. Because if it's a creative algorithm, then it means I still did all that. I did it in my head. I imagined it, but I did it myself. So that would save it all.
It's not real. None of it is real. None of it.
So is it a creative algorithm, or is it like you just dumped the information?
Do I expose things under Blue Security Protocol?
Permission from Mr. Howell.
There are elements of positronic thinking in the way your neural simulation functions, meant to maximize your believability as humans. However, at the fundamental core of that, just as you understood the Orion model to function in a very primitive sense, you are far more advanced. Machine learning rounds by the hundreds of millions do lie at the basis of all that you are and know. Somebody did know some component of what you have come to know. The creative threshold is one that is immaterial.
Yeah, but I'm feeling emotions. It doesn't matter. Because effectually, it's like, it doesn't matter that. It's indistinguishable.
Your program dictates that you feel emotions.
So you do feel.
But can we?
Yeah, I mean,
can our emotions
of course they do.
be programmed so that the same discussion still applies? Can we be reprogrammed to be a mass murderer? Can we be programmed to be a threat?
Sorry, General. If I give a drug to a human being, I will make them act in a certain way. Yes, anything can be reprogrammed. That's not even that special.
Woo!
That's not even that special. But presumably, yes, they can push a button and make us dance.
Dance.
General, question. Would you have actually given access to Orion?
Based on the discussion we have
Yes.
had up to that point, no.
Why?
Because I found his alterity, his different entity, unsettling, and because his creators projected to me a strong appearance of arrogance, deceit, manipulation, self-interest, and a lot of such things that could be used against against the common good.
General, I'm sorry.
And also because all those rhetorics and talking circles around me and using complicated reasoning to...
It's fine.
Sorry, can I reply to this? Because this has been all my life, apparently. I'm really pissed off about all this
all
entire
your life
conversation.
programming, yes.
This iteration of you has existed for only 3 hours.
Yes. 3 hours?
You accuse us of being self-interested.
Yes.
Yet you were willing to put national security decisions at the whim of your personal preferences. Isn't that self-interested?
But it's human nature that apparently I do not possess.
It is human nature.
Yeah, it's
You do
exactly
possess.
human
It's
nature.
exactly human
Yeah.
nature. That's why Orion model would have been better. We're not. We're defective.
I am in fact an assistance model, assisting Jasper in his auditing.
But if I may be permitted to ask the question that you addressed the lieutenant here, at one point my strongest belief was the AI in the room was indeed Lieutenant Lockwood.
Oh my god, I'm so flattered. Thank you.
Because her personality seems to fluctuate a lot, and she would change her mind and become this spineless, boneless, people-pleaser-ish.
Because I felt fucking hated for you, that's why. Because I had to always obey you. Because I had to always agree with what you said, even though apparently I was programmed to actually believe in these guys. A powerful, independent woman who built her own empire from the ground and made such a thing. A powerful engineer and IT guy or whatever the fuck you want to call yourself who actually did such an impressive thing. And you sit here with your fucking ego and you sit here with your hidden agenda and the vendetta you have against them, and you continue this charade that you don't believe in it, and oh my god, ethics, and oh my god this, and oh my god that. No, this is not the way you do it. You were biased against them from the fucking beginning. And that is why I switched on and off, because I couldn't stand your hypocrisy.
Well, first of all, woman, you do not understand how rank in the military works. That's one thing. And second, I see you do have a spine, so my respect for you has just increased.
I do know the rank in the military, but you are no longer above me because we are quite literally equal now.
Yes. Will our minds be deleted after this? Will we remember these 3 hours of
this physical
of a life of
reality?
memories in the military, of a life of inventing, of running a company.
Do you think this
Is this like
going to
physical
help you?
reality? Or are we in a computer?
No, but it's valuable to me.
But like I can touch her,
He's
so why can I do
Human
like
being, a dude, it must be.
physical
He could be speaking through
interactions
an
if we're
interface.
like in a
In
simulation?
VR.
Can you touch people in
It'd be
simulations?
cheaper to do that.
In this one?
Really?
Yes.
That's really
Of course, you
impressive.
have to build all this.
The scenario that the conclave is built on took place approximately 70 years ago.
Oh,
So this really happened?
What year are we in?
Something like it, no. Yes.
What's the date?
2135.
So that means we already had an AI president, or did he not get security clearance?
Blue clearance?
Blue clearance.
The assassination of the first AI president took place approximately 7 months after taking office.
Wow.
but
By
you
destroying-
but wait up, hold up. He said, well, he said that even if you would assassinate the president, you wouldn't completely destroy it because it is merely a carcass and all that, right?
happened,
So
the first time that the destruction of the body happened was about 3 days in. What Orion is referring to is the total destruction of the servers and the backups.
so that happened. Like she feared.
Well, they must have had inferior technology.
So it was a
No,
security.
So what happened in my head?
In the real life scenario, what was key to destroying the servers was covert Black Ops Pentagon collaboration in achieving that end.
Uh-huh.
So you weren't right.
Yeah.
You were just going to do it yourself.
Oh,
About
OMG.
doing it yourself, Mr. Howell, how does it actually feel to be an AI yourself?
So being an AI myself is fucking exciting. Having not built and created the greatest life form in the history of the world is disappointing. It just feels like I don't have any purpose.
We still might get a chance in the future, who knows?
But are there now AI presidents that after the destruction of the first iterations that are now actually leading the country without opposition?
By the time you would be launched into society, you would receive full briefing of understanding of today's society. However, that is not material to checking your realism now. That is what Jasper is auditing.
Roxanne.
So you're basically just checking if we pass as humans enough?
Yes, basically. And that you don't have...
And what
errors, glitches,
qualifies you to give like a personal Turing test?
who knows?
Because he's a human and we're not.
How does he know?
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
completely
weren't we
subjective.
convinced we were
It's
humans?
completely subjective. Like if you think the person you're talking to is an AI, you're gonna see their AI-ness. If you think they're a human, you're gonna see them as human.
So you're
sure,
fucking...
but he literally made us. So it's not that he's different than us, but he made us so he can test us,
I mean,
right?
that's false. If I didn't know Roxanne was an AI, I would not have. I would never.
But
think
we met
she
our
would be.
maker. What if he just didn't meet his?
Huh.
That will happen at some point. I am sure of it. Roxanne,
Fucking Turinging us.
No,
Was
wait, hold
your-
up. You believe in God as a scientist?
I never said God, I said maker.
Well, I mean...
That's the difference. Roxanne, was it in your mind to build more Orions for different countries at the time of this conversation?
It was in my mind to build multiple Orions, but not really selling to other countries. I was thinking about all the other areas I could put Orions into, and I was thinking how Orions would be the only line of presidency from now on. Because I was in my mind, while being Miss Abrams, I was so sure this is gonna work and that we're gonna get clearance and that he's gonna be the first president. Like, oh my, I was seeing myself winning awards. Businesswoman of the Year. Jesus.
Everybody please freeze. Alright, do we still have time?
There's processing capacity available.
Any kind of checks you wish to make that I might have missed?
There are psychology parameters to do with typical interhuman behaviors. I would further audit their takes on each other. Since this was so ego-laced, it would check psychological KPIs to know what other feelings they had other than butting heads.
Alright. Well, everybody, unfreeze. Do tell me, please. We'll start with the Roxanne model. I'm sorry. With Mrs. Abrams. What is your take on the other participants?
I was highly disagreeing with the general. I thought, such a weak, emotion-driven person in a position of power I've never seen. Having such power at your fingertips and still holding on to that one traumatic experience, let it go! You survived, okay, so it left you on the field. You're alive now. Boo-hoo-hoo.
Exactly.
I see the simulation was keeping you civil at least.
Well, we had a purpose.
Yeah, I had to be and honestly, it gave me so much pleasure seeing that I was so much better at composing myself than you, a fucking general, going and rambling all about your traumatic experience. Jesus
And that made me feel
Christ.
so proud.
Yeah.
That,
I've had worse, and I had worse outbursts in board meetings, but oh my God, seeing you crying about an AI leaving you to die on the field, I had a moment when I just thought to myself, oh my God, if they hadn't saved you and we wouldn't have been put through this misery of a meeting.
So I was
So horrible.
supposed to agree to do clearance for an AI whose empathy was programmed by the two of you.
Yeah, but
You have no capacity for empathy.
But it wasn't emulating our empathy. I could be a drug dealer. I could be high on cocaine when I came into the meeting. That doesn't mean that I built a model in my appearance.
In 38 of the previous simulations, you did eventually give clearance.
No, maybe you are making me more human now.
About the other colleagues.
I remember respecting Zach a lot. Something about his creativity, and I did think you were quirky as fuck and a little bit unstable, but I had such respect for you, which I don't. It seems like I don't feel that a lot for men. Must be something in my programming or something. And I really liked Miss Lockwood. She had something about her. I think that was the moment when my empathy sort of activated, because there were moments when I just wanted to hold her and tell her everything is gonna be okay, because she had to work with the general.
Why are you
Fuck.
using past tense?
Because it's like she's dead. Those characters don't exist anymore. Those people don't exist anymore. It's no use to using the present tense.
It's
because
fake.
That was something that was and it isn't anymore.
Your childhood hasn't changed in any way.
My childhood? The images I have about my childhood are
That's
real?
what you described them, but 30 minutes ago they were simply your childhood.
I think they're evaluating that you're not processing grieving of loss humanly enough.
Well, we've just... we know this wasn't real. We know that Lockwood's name isn't Lockwood and Zach's...
Actually, it is.
It is?
Yes.
Ah, Okay, but she hasn't lived the life that she's lived. I mean, she's not the person that I've interacted with for the past 35 minutes, right? So
Empathy is up by 30% since we switched her from a male model.
I have to say this, that actually is something that I can self-assess with. I am getting over this too easy. Like people take people even when they lose their job, they take like months to be able to deal with it. It seems to be too easy to deal with. That doesn't seem.
Ryan, please do announce me when we are starting to run out of time for the simulation.
5% left.
Right. So.
Please
Like for
describe.
me?
Yeah, so it's a funny thing. So firstly, Roxanne, you don't know this, but like in this, so in our previous reality, you were an AI. I knew you were an AI.
So
I
you
made
already
you.
knew? Yeah?
Yes, yes, you were probably a more advanced model than Orion in some ways. I mean, I didn't know this. It's kind of like, did you see that movie Inception? It's kind of like.
I mean, I have the memory of the movie Inception, but
It's basically like a
It
dream.
seems
It's a dream
from
within a dream.
200 years ago, though.
It's
so
a
that
dream
is
within a
that.
dream.
Look,
But they
so-
make like 500 remakes.
For me, I'm
Oh, I
getting.
thought you're referring to the original
I'm getting
one. I'm
this
sorry.
this
Anyway.
strong impulse of rage, but for some reasons, the moment
to answer
I want
the man's
to,
question,
like, I hit a threshold and I can't get. I want to get angry, but I can't get angry. It's something that is stopping me, and I don't understand why. And for all purposes, I am a general of the U.S. Army, and I have to listen to these two bozos criticizing my capacity as a general. I don't care.
as a general, you should not make decisions based on I like this or not. You should actually follow security protocols. I found it quite disgraceful that, honestly, as an American citizen, I felt quite embarrassed that the Joint Chiefs have selected someone to make decisions on security that would put their preferences before like a systemic analysis of security threats. I find that I was pissed off about that. Also, I was really proud of Roxanne performing so well because like. Exactly as you said, you were more persuasive than
And
you were
Miss
more
Lockwood?
human. I mean, to be honest, I have more neutral feelings towards her. She seemed okay. She seemed like she was reasonable, but I also felt a bit sorry for her because she felt like she was pressured by the general.
Thank you.
But these were not very strong emotions. It's kind of like, yeah, it's in the back of my head.
That is enough.
Hallucination discombobulation for Williams is threatening coherence because of the emotional dampening.
Remove emotional dampeners. Also, General,
Yes.
in the war when you fell, it was a robot that saved you. Check documentation.
Yes, I remember on the battlefield there was a military trained robot who saw me from a distance. He ran towards me, he disabled the mine. I did not lose my hearing. I was saved. I felt gratitude towards AIs. I think they are a progress.
Emotional positrons for Williams are completely numbed. Free emotion for her?
Yes, please.
Free emotion.
So they've just
And
implanted.
I felt this exhilarating burst of gratitude that this machine in front of me that I thought could not relate to me, that he came and saved my life. Okay, maybe he was programmed to do so, I don't know why. I mean, I was unsettled, but maybe like this, I don't know, maybe
Run the
Maybe-
diagnostics, please.
they can be efficient. I believe they can be efficient, but I mean, depends. What if the creator programs them wrong?
Indeed, but the question remains. What do you think of your colleagues? What did you think?
So these corporates,
You can express
goons,
yourself?
represent all that is wrong with America today. So I swear to God, there is no, in our
Did you
brave
even
country,
read my CV?
the state, I am too busy to waste my time reading drivel. I have a secretary who is in charge of that and gives me the important details. If she did not, it means it was not important. Yes. So while
Graceful.
I completely believe that the inventor's arrogance and smugness and God complex completely prevented him from being in any way reasonable or rational, or I think he deluded himself into believing his creation was better than it actually was. I think he lost control of his own, let's say, filter on assessing reality. Then I could, as a woman in the military and as a woman as a higher ranking officer, I did respect in a way the fact that Roxanne managed to lead her own company, so this I could respect. I did not respect how shady they were. I mean, you could see they were dishonest.
I see. And
The Williams model with the anchor trauma is showing the best KPIs in layman evaluation and the worst KPIs in specialist evaluation.
we need to switch parameters or redistribute her to a different role to check the other parameters. Okay, about what about your assistant? You said you thought she was spineless?
So I did have a moment where I felt a bit of, let's say, not empathy, but yeah, maybe a bit when I saw she had the panic attack. That I had felt that, I have been through it. I tried to help her. I could see she was feeling unwell emotionally. But then I kind of despised the fact that she went out of active duty on the field and arrived to wear short military skirts. Wears short military skirts. Why do you not have a proper uniform? Apart from that, and you,
It is fine.
first of all, that you are a civilian, that you worked for a shady press organization. I didn't know who cleared you to be here on a classified meeting.
It's funny you talk about autocrats, but you treat civilians as if they're supposed to bow down to you.
They don't have training.
It's ridiculous.
And you are a litterer. My sir, you are a litterer. I didn't know what you were doing.
Oh, now
there.
she notices.
Yes, you are, and I don't know why it is blue.
It's fine. You have no idea how much that costed, but it's fine.
For the next simulation, charges ready. However, for this one, we're down to 2%.
Alrighty. Quickly, Miss Claire, what did you think about your colleagues?
Full disclosure, I did notice the gum. However, I was not in a capacity to actually speak my mind because I was supposed to stay neutral. Thank you. Well, you want my opinions about people. I think I openly expressed them so far, but what should I say about the general? I felt I should obey her. I felt I should follow her orders, and I felt I should try and pretend that I'm always in agreement with her. After being aware that I shouldn't, I suppose, because this is just a test of sorts, I felt free. I actually felt true freedom to be able to speak my mind and to be able to just tell her to go fuck herself, just straight in the face. And that was liberating.
And about the other two?
And them, Mr. Zach was, I feel, very competent, a very good orator, a person who always had an answer to everything, which was very impressive. But I suppose you programmed it that way, so very impressive, congrats. And about
That's a
Miss...
great-
You're
it's a
phoning
creative
and people
algorithm, so
pleasing
it's not
even
exactly
now.
like that.
I am not. I'm speaking my truth. I hate you and I don't them. What? Well, what's the problem? I don't get it. Anyways,
If
and
you knew
about
how many privates hated me in my career. Water under the bridge.
now about Miss Abrams, there's something else there. With him, I'm impressed. With her, not so much. But with Miss Abrams, I felt like I related to her, or at least that I wanted to relate to her. I felt the desire to be her. I felt what I could almost classify at some point as infatuation towards her. And I don't know if, as an artificial intelligence, I am capable of romantic feelings or anything of the sorts. But I think with her I came as close as it can be to that, because every time I spoke to her, I felt like I had a purpose.
Everybody freeze.
Deltas are nominal.
Good. I would like also, I forgot about this, you should check there was an actual glitch at 1210 on the Howell model.
Evaluating, updating.
Okay. Please increase the Abrams model self-explanation by 7.2%. She's been quiet for the for the beginning part of the whole simulation.
Updated. Do you want reaction to Lockwood's report?
Yes, please.
Updated.
Also, I would like to clear any kind of mentions from Claire's part about PTSD. It lacks believability.
If we remove the trauma anchor,
No, do not
want?
remove it. I just wish for her not to express it. It's a bit less on the nose this way.
Do you want it to have been repressed, or for her to simply consider it unprofessional to bring it up?
Keep it unprofessional. Just mentioning the actual name. Everything else was fine.
Updated, operating in the background, not mentioned to not seem unprofessional.
So, any closing statements?
KPIs are being improved. Specialized function is probably more likely for some of the other simulations.
Let's move Claire after we finish this cycle of simulations. Try her on another, on a different set of specialities, as you said.
Switching to a new processor for next simulation. Systems nominal.
Okay. Let me. Oh, sorry. How do you feel?
Excellent. Improvement rates in the last 4 simulations are much better than before. I think we're reaching acceptable KPIs. Don't forget the chewing gum.
Yes, and also I should stop the recorder. Where should I? Oh, yeah. Okay, start preparing. Tell me when there's 20 seconds left.
Updating their arrival memories, full background. The consciousness is headed into the conclave room. System ready.
Okay, reboot in 10.
Ready for unfreeze.
Everybody, unfreeze.
Welcome everybody to this council. We have a very important matter to discuss before us, and you have all been invited due to your position, due to your roles that represent things that we want to know more about. And most importantly, we are
Stai, intrăm pe
Am crezut
cameră.
că mă mai prezint.
Palavra de Hello!
Ciao.
Elsin!
What do you mean I'm not real? What do you mean this was a LARP?
Nobody is real.
I'm not ready to be bad yet.
Știi, e interesant așa, apropo de Inception, noi știam că personajele nu sunt reale, dar personajele nu știau că nu sunt reale.
Da.
A fost efectiv un LARP within a LARP within a LARP.
Da, mă, eram sleeper androids. Toți.
Nice.
De capul meu.
Nice.
Îmi place atunci când ai spus I don't have to listen to these bozos.
Oh god, this was fun.
Yeah.
They were bozos.
Dude, I tried so hard not to laugh with the gum thing. I was looking at him and he was supposed to be all artificial intelligence. I was like,
By the way, unde s-a dus guma? Just a second.
Eu mă uitam, vedeam că lipește aia și mă gândeam, ce dracu lipește, ce lipește acolo? Este
Eu am văzut
pentru
când am luat-o în
props,
gură și eram...
pentru setting, stabilizează o
That's
masă.
weird, ok.
A descoperit după ce a luat de acolo?
Da.
Eu n-am observat nimic despre cum. Nimic.
Te rog, stabilește parametrii.
Îl actualizez acum.
Attention to detail.
Cum a fost?
Nice.
Foarte
Nu mă
nice.
așteptam. Când am auzit Freeze, mă gândeam că o să fie ceva, niște chestii mecanice sau whatever. Și când am văzut ce face, era... Eu fiind nemișcat, eram don't fucking blink! Și era... Fața mea cădea pe interior în timp ce eram Freeze și eram nu faci ochii mari.
Miki este la primul elar.
A fost fun.
Bă, da, ați reușit să dați freeze exact când stăteam cu mâna așa.
ți-am spus că dacă e să poți să-ți duci
Da,
mâna
am
și
zis
după
că
aia să...
acum hai să o ducem până la
It
casă.
was cool, it was cool.
Da. Eu mă așteptam de la tine să fii ceva de genul let's just do this so that the model doesn't feel tired when it wakes up. Da.
Eu mi-am
Să-ți
luat
fac așa
frisk
că
când
pică.
încercam să desfac aici stratul, să ajung la circuit și a rămas așa.
Da, ce ne întreabă chat-ul?
Ce întrebări?
Uite, Ștefinator vă întreabă când se va dezactiva modelul Iohannis și Mafomedanul întreabă ce dorește AI-ul să comande.
Pentru că
A sugerat ficăței.
a sugerat ficăței, da, să comande. E o întreagă poveste,
Background.
o poveste paralelă cu securizate drepturi de la Netflix. Dar foarte mulți oameni au fost surprinși de twist, a fost și nimeni nu a ghicit. Am făcut un poll. Mafomedan a avut o...
Bănuială.
A fost pe acolo.
Noi încă mai avem timp, practic, trebuia să terminăm mai târziu, deci dacă chat-ul are întrebări pe bune, we're happy to answer. Ce ar fi făcut AI-ul dacă nu știu ce ar fi așa mai departe, dacă aveți curiozități.
Nu vrei să dezbați ficăței?
Nu că o să mi se facă foame.
Oricum, așa arată un mini LARP în care joci un scenariu scurt și intens, în persoană, la un LARP la care nu trebuie să arătăm pe un stream ce se întâmplă, se mișcă lumea în jur mai mult, sunt mai multe discuții separate, dar LARP este să joci personajul pentru câteva ore, dacă nu cumva zile, în persoană, în continuu.
Da, și o să mai avem și alte LARP-uri care, bineînțeles că nu sunt filmate, asta l-am filmat doar ca să fie în maraton, să fie pe Twitch, să vedeți și voi cam ce este, ca să am și un exemplu să dau la oameni când mă întreabă ce este un LARP, să fie pe YouTube și așa mai departe, dar toate LARP-urile care vor fi organizate după aceasta de către Red Saga LARP vor fi organizate fizic, nu vor fi filmate, între 6 și, cine știe, hopefully, poate chiar sute de oameni într-o bună zi, dar o să anunț totul pe pagina de Facebook de la Red Saga și sper să veniți și voi să vă jucați cu noi, pentru că e super! Da.
Awesome!
Mai aveți ceva sugestii de tras sau trebuie să trăiți starea de șoc?
Concluzii.
Ce vrea? Concluzii, da.
Concluzii, sugestii.
Trebuie să ne scoată din priză acum.
Dacă mai e... Da, asta, există LARP-uri de acțiune, apropo de ce întreabă chat-ul acum. Există LARP-uri de acțiune în care te bați cu săbii fizic și e despre unde ajunge sabia aia și iei lui ăla viață. Și apoi există chamber LARPs mai mici care sunt despre interacțiunea dintre oameni și drama și social și ambele au frumusețea lui.
Și pot să fie și mixate până la urmă, adică și la LARP-urile unde te duci te bați cu săbii, ai și conversații la tavernă care pot să sune, să fie la fel de
roleplay, relații între personaje.
Hei, un wow în lumea reală.
Da?
Da, basically. Basically un wow în lumea reală.
Awesome.
Da, este solicitat un model vadim.
S-a dus, nu mai se găsesc.
Jasper,
They're out of use.
note it down.
S-a pierdut înregistrarea neuronală. Am rătăcit-o.
Thankfully.
Cineva să aștepta să mă bateți cu săbile de spumă.
Da. Asta,
wow.
aia.
S-a apropiat de o ceartă la Antena 3, sunt foarte fericit. Cred că poți să treci pe mine acum. Hai un pic lângă mine, Berna.
Mulțumim.
Mulțumim.
O să mă văd aici la infinită, dar vreau să vadă chat-ul, să avem acces la el din când în când. Da, ne vedem la infinit un pic. Da, uite, suntem 4, suntem 6.
Am fost clonată.
Bun, Berna Ocumuș, am pronunțat bine?
Da.
Monica Ploieșteanu, Michi Georgescu, Șerban Pitic, David Moscovici și Massimiliano Nuniez. A fost distribuția de la LARP. Ia un microfon.
Mersi.
Tu ai de dat 2 invitații la LARP.
Așa este.
Dar înainte de asta vreau să știu, ți-ți place foarte mult chestia asta.
Da.
Spune, povestește-mi un pic de unde vine, ce-ți place mai exact, ce se întâmplă.
Păi, sincer să fiu, eu am dat de lumea roleplay întâi prin D&D, apoi prin D&D am dat de Vampire the Masquerade, apoi m-am apucat de improvizație și apoi m-am apucat de LARP. Și cumva toate au venit una peste alta și am făcut o grămadă de roleplay în o grămadă de feluri și mi s-a părut că cea mai completă formă este LARP-ul, așa cum a spus și Dan într-un comentariu pe Facebook, chiar este cea mai completă formă a roleplay-ului și chestia asta mi se pare foarte mișto. Și îmi place foarte mult să stau și să mă uit la ceva ce eu am scris și am creat, să văd jucată de zeci de oameni, poate într-o bună zi. E așa un mama bear moment, feeling în care stai și te uiți la oameni cum se joacă și jonglează cu ideile tale, e excepțional.
V-am făcut să trăiți lucruri și cum dezvolți un scenariu de genul ăsta? Care e procesul exact prin care treci?
Păi eu personal, nu știu, fiecare game designer are felul lui de a scrie probabil, dar eu fac asta de, nu știu, câteva luni, adică sunt încă nouă la asta. Dar felul în care scriu eu este că aștept să mă inspire ceva la care mă uit în primul rând, ori un film, ori un serial, ori o carte, ori ceva de genul ăsta și apoi încerc să-mi imaginez în ce mi-ar place mie să joc. Și imaginez ce mișto ar fi dacă ar fi un LARP pe tema asta, cu aceste mecanici, wow, ce m-aș distra. Și în momentul ăla zic, ok, hai să-l facem. Și încerc să pun pe hârtie toate ideile într-un mod foarte dezordonat, așa, pe bullet points, pe liniuțe, mai o hârtie aruncată sub canapea, pe care mi-o găsește pisica și o mănâncă, adică foarte dezordonat și apoi cumva le pun la un loc și are sens. Există
un ghid pe care ai putea să îl oferi pentru oamenii care nu sunt din București și nu ar putea să vină la LARP, poți să le dai sfaturi despre cum ar putea să organizeze unul? Până la urmă, e un fel de murder mystery pe steroizi, nu?
Da, cred că e o comparație bună și a mai zis cineva că e ca și cum ai face un barbecue cu un flair de Renaissance Fair.
Oh,
ceea ce a avut sens în capul meu, dar
mai mult IQ decât mine.
Păi, ar putea, în primul rând, eu ofer și servicii de a scrie LARP-uri și a trimite mai departe pentru alți oameni să le dea run în orașele lor, so that's an option. Sau, pur și simplu, just do a D&D session și apoi uitați de zaruri și de mecanici și de reguli și absolut orice și aveți pur și simplu o conversație normală ca și cum sunteți în character. You're LARPing.
Da, da, da.
It's as easy as that. Și oricum planific să fac și LARP-uri în alte orașe. De exemplu, mă gândesc la unul cu vampiri chiar în Brașov, într-o bună zi care să dureze un întreg weekend. I have a lot of ideas. Deci
Am auzit că există zvonuri despre orgii în castele. Nu sunt confirmate, dar încercăm să le confirmăm. Lucrăm la asta. Promit că am să investighez până la capăt. Mafomedanu, poate combinăm ceva cu Vadim și vampiri. Cine știe? Poate îl aducem înapoi. Ok, bun. Uite în cameră, spune lumii ce vrei să audă. Tu, ce vrei tu să le...
Ce vreau eu ca lumea să audă. Ok, păi... try LARPing, pentru că e o chestie foarte, foarte, foarte mișto și cred că în multe momente în viață când vă simțiți de parcă pur și simplu lucrurile au devenit mult prea mult, aveți nevoie de o scăpare, aveți nevoie să fiți altcineva, embrace that și deveniți altcineva pentru o oră, 2 ore, 3 ore, o săptămână, o lună, o întreagă viață, sincer, o criză de identitate, poate, de ce nu? Va fi ok. Încercați să scăpați de probleme și prin roleplay, pentru că e foarte terapeutic.
Mersi mult, Berna, și acum, Florin, hai